Hi, Tim.
Hi, Bram.
Nice to have you here.
It's great to be here.
You've been with us for a while.
A little over 2 years. I thought it wasn't very long, but it's getting longer and longer.
And how was the journey so far?
It's been great. You know, working for a European company in the United States and bringing that technology over it's been a lot of fun.
Indeed, and vice versa. Good to have colleagues all over the place.
It is good, isn't it?
Yeah. Any highlights you like to mention that are things that you remember that were fun?
You know, from a company perspective, it's the culture. You know, we're just of that size, and even as we grow, that culture of, you know, working hard but having fun is it's nice. You know, people are friendly, and you know, look at that smile on your face. It's a good thing.
And we actually noticed this week with the kickoff week. Anything that you will take home from that?
Oh boy! So you know, we our Lego competition was for me the highlight. So we had engineers on our team, we had sales on our team, we had customer success on our team. We all kind of fit into our roles and created a great Genie module.
And maybe for the listeners, indeed, we had a challenge because we're software builders, and we challenged several teams to build something conceptual, but then in Lego. So. I think the most fun was people explaining it afterwards, selling or telling the story.
It was great. And then having the API, having the interface, you know, having a physical representation of the interface. And as we brought up our projects, we connected them all together. It was good.
And most surprising for me was that seeing people standing up on stage that you wouldn't expect them to do.
Across the company. And people were comfortable with it. I mean, we had developers up there and, you know, documentation people. It was nice, and people felt, I think it was a great indication of the values of the company that we could feel comfortable and speak in front of, you know, a group of 80 people.
Yeah, that was great indeed.
Yeah.
Finding a topic for today was hard, but also easy, because having a topic and I say, let's talk about this, but let's switch it around, because you are in contact with customers. So I think there's a lot of stories and things that you encounter with customers.
It's a relatively unique position to be in, because I'm talking with customers, I'm talking with prospects, their retail customers, their agencies, their brands. Some have been using our technology and looking to upgrade. Others don't even know what creative automation is. And so the opportunity, you know, the stories that I hear from all of these, they're all over the board, from, you know, out of home advertising to, you know, retail shelf tags to, you know, window clings to, you know, digital displays, Google ads. It's all over the board, and they all have a certain common interest and need, and it's exciting.
What would be, because I can imagine if it's all over the board, there's a common intro, or at least like a base story that you put out.
Yeah.
What is creative automation for you? What is it you tell to customers?
You know, customers tell it more to me. You know, that use cases, they come to me and they say, Tim, you know, we're at the end of the process, you know, of any kind of campaign, whether it's an advertising campaign or just branding a store. The studio, the production department, they're at the last step, and they say, you know, by the time we get the design brief and the approvals, we only have X number of days to accomplish it. And the expectation is it should happen just like that, even if there's 700 or 1,500 variations on that design. It's like, that should be easy. And so they come to me when they hear about creative automation, and they say, Tim, how can we deal with this? We have our creatives are working through the weekends into the evening. How can we shorten that?
So they come to you with a challenge, and then it's up to us to find how can we make it happen for you.
Yeah, exactly. A great example of that is, if we look at billboards, throughout Europe, throughout the United States and Canada, those billboards, vary in size. Some of them are print, some of them are digital. More and more of them are digital. And a general design concept is created and approved for a standard size. But then, in Austin, Texas, there's 10 different sizes. In the California market, there's 35 different sizes. In the Metro New York market, there's another 100 different sizes. And those studios are going into every InDesign file, and they are bringing it in, bringing it down. They're moving the graphics around just a little bit, and it takes hours, and it's mundane work.
And going in manually with the challenge of then being off-brand.
Right, exactly. Every single one has to be touched.
Indeed.
And so when we start to talk about, there's a way that you can create these templates so that as those sizes vary, you stay on brand. Any regulatory requirements continue to be met, so spacing and font size, etc. So as we change those sizes, it can happen manually. And it can be happen through a headless data set. So I can go and generate 1,000 different variations, all of them on brand, all of them meeting local regulations, all of them with variations in language. In US, Spanish and English are the two big ones. Yeah. Of course, across Europe, it's even more complicated. And so through a data set and through a Chili smart template, we can make all those changes and rip out 1,000 of them, in the course.
I can imagine if there's all these variant sizes and all these languages, that ends up in a lot of output sizes and variations.
Yeah, thousands. Yeah. Thousands that can be driven through, a single smart template with just a few different variants, just looking at the aspect ratio, changing one variant to another just based on that aspect ratio, and things are cropped properly, the point of interest is maintained, and we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to worry about being off-brand.
That's billboards. Any other examples in retail that you encounter? For example, with barcodes, I can imagine that is a big thing in retail.
Yeah, especially when it comes to shelf tags. Shelf tags in a retail environment, just heavily, data reliant. And so there's barcodes, there's even QR codes to track interaction with those products. And typically those are very limited in the way they can be modified. Yet still a designer has to go in, open up each one of those files, replace the barcode, replace the QR code, and through creative automation, we can create variables in those and drive a data file into it. Drive hundreds, not thousands of variations.
When you have a conversation with these retailers, what kind of people do you talk to? Imagine that I'm a store manager.
Yeah.
What would be my challenge, or what would be my solution that you could bring?
Yeah, so the store manager's challenge is that I don't have enough control over this, and I need to my market is very unique, it's very specific, and corporate doesn't know my needs. And so they're always looking for a way to kind of get around corporate. It takes too long to go to corporate, right? You have to make a request, and corporate wants you to be on brand, and that's great, but I need to make a little change. And so typically they go outside of the process to make that change. And so, contrary to these out-of-home displays that we were talking about, from a store perspective, that store manager may want, self-serve access. And so we can still create the smart template. Yeah. It's on brand, doesn't violate any regulatory requirements. And now the store manager can go in, and he or she can make changes, localize it with their message. They think they have all kinds of access to do exactly what they want, yet we're controlling it through the smart template. It's a great story.
So both parties have control.
Yeah.
Over their part.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And I can imagine because you said self-service, so the store manager can go in and do these modifications manually. Yeah. But you also mentioned headless, meaning that the shelf cards could be produced automatically.
Right.
Maybe triggered on a certain day of time where it needs to be updated.
Right. Those hours, outside of the store hours where, that's where we might want to go and drive the data file into that, provide the output, and then those evening workers, can go and swap everything out.
Yeah. Do you also see that with shelf cards getting digital, or is that not a question?
They're becoming more and more digital. And interesting, even beyond those shelf cards, we're starting to see in the United States anyway, and I think it's already here in Europe, we're having digital ads on the windows. Yeah. And this is typical in grocery store chains. So in the United States and in Canada, these banners have always been, hand painted on newsprint. It's just been a style.
Yeah.
Chicken $4.99 a pound, and it's just a certain style. More and more grocery stores, Metro New York area, the LA area, are going to these digital signs, and so now corporate can start swapping out these signs, based on time of day, based on the holiday. In the U.S., when it's Super Bowl time, you want to advertise chicken wings, and that we've got a great price on chicken wings. So instead of somebody having to take down that sign and tape up a new sign, you've got a giant display there, and it's updated like that.
So the challenge of the designer is to make a design in the style of a painted window.
Yeah.
Being able to change the content.
Yeah. And for those stores that don't have the displays yet, that same design can drive the print output, and it can drive the digital output. So, CMYK on the print side, RGB on the digital side, and CHILI GraFx will drive both of those.
When you're in Aalst during Carnival, so that is in the beginning of February, then have a look around, because then all windows here are painted, not related to retail or whatever else, but that's the style that they paint the windows returning to Carnival. So that's what reminds me of.
We need to digitize that.
I think that will lose the trade of the painters of these windows. But it's great indeed. And I can imagine, maybe to summarize, your job is not like selling a product, but you're guiding the creative process of maybe you should rethink your process to automate, to make it easy, to get the task done faster. You talked about, they don't have enough time because at the end of the process. So basically, your job is to guide them and give them ideas to,
Yeah, and just the fact that, I get to speak to all different types of operations.
Yeah.
Something that works, print specific may be applicable to a digital application. And those groups tend to not look at each other. And so I can hopefully be that glue that brings, one group over to another.
I can imagine it helps to be that we're able to output digital and print, so that you can provide the solutions all over the board.
Yeah, everyone has both.
Yeah.
Everyone has both. Print is not dead.
Is it still? Is that what you hear? Is it still relevant? Print?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Especially when we're talking about retail.
Yeah.
There's a heavy reliance on print for point of purchase displays. And then there's the digital signs in the windows. Yeah. So there's both use cases. They both have to be on brand. They both have to represent the same colors and messaging.
One goes with the other.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, it was great having you here. Great having this conversation with you on what you encounter with customers.
It's good to be here. Good to be here. Thanks, Bram.
You're welcome. And I hope to see you in the next episodes, or to listen to you in the next episode.
I'm looking forward to it.
Super. And I probably meet you in Create US.
Yes, Austin, June 28th, 29th.
Yeah, indeed.
It's going to be hot, but we're chilly, so.
There you go. That's a great end. Thank you for being here, and see you in the next time.
All right. Bye, Bram.
See you also. Bye-bye. If you like this episode and you want to get engaged, or you have tips for improvements or changes, please let us know at pulse@chilipublish.com. Also, if you want to be informed of next episodes, please subscribe to the newsletter on the form below.